Hello everyone, it's Confused here, and this is the Astroneers tutorial. I noticed that when I was playing the game that it just had a lot of, things that needed to be known that the tutorial in the game didn't really even cover. So, I spent about 2 hours of hard work and patience trying to figure out how to play the game, and now I'm going to take those 2 hours. I broke it down, and I'm just going to show you guys everything that I've learned and definitely give you some good tips to help you out. So when we're starting with the characters, just know that none of the characters are really different. They just look different. They don't do anything different, and all you need to do is just pick the character that you like the best visually. I decided I wanted the one all the way to the left the first time, but my decisions always change, so I ended up choosing something different later on. But first off, you need to know when you land your ship the first time around, you can't choose where you land. You just land. And this tank that you see me standing next to is oxygen. As long as you're close to that tank, you have oxygen source. I just lost my oxygen source because I drifted too far away from it. Now, when you're far away from your oxygen source, you have to be mindful of the fact that you will run out of oxygen, and the oxygen does not last very long, maybe 2 minutes at most. And depending on what you're doing, it could be even less. These yellow stones that I'm collecting are power stones. They allow me to keep collecting because your backpack has a power source. You suction things, you can also spew things out. Hydrazine is fuel. That's pretty, explanatory. It says that it's fuel right on the thing. Keep collecting power when you can so that your book bag doesn't run out of power. And you can also save power and put it on devices, which we'll see later. Now, this is the very beginning of the game. When I first played, I did not know what I was doing. I didn't even know how to touch the power sources or how to work the book bag. What you're supposed to do is press Y, use the cursor with your analog, and then you're actually supposed to hit RT because I'm playing on Xbox. If it's on PS4, you'd hit R2 or R2, and that is how you click things. You use the cursor and you use R2 to click things and move things. Try to find resources as much as you can. These little blue blocks are absolutely nothing. I thought that they were something. You see now that I'm actually suffocating because I do not have an oxygen source, and I did not realize how to get one. I died. When you start suffocating, you have about, I would say, 15 seconds before you die once you start suffocating. And your guy cannot run when you're suffocating either. He runs a lot slower. Right now, I'm honestly just confused. I'm confused. I'm walking around. I didn't know what to do. I'm just suctioning things. I'm learning the buttons as I go. R2, is how you use the suction. You have to press X in the menu. When you first start the game, it lets you know those little things. But after that, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't tell you much else. You kind of have to figure most things out for yourself. So I keep going. I find that I'm actually finding resources. This resource that I'm right next to is called. It's called something. I can't remember. it's okay. The resource next to me is very important. It's what you use to build most basic things. It's called compound. The compound builds these machines that you see right here, and once these machines are built, then you can build machines on top of them that you can use to manipulate the resources that you have or that you'll find in the game. Now I'm just playing around with land manipulation buttons. When you hold RT, if you hit RB or LB or R1 or L1, you can actually switch between creating landmass and getting rid of landmass. Creating landmass is good when you need to get out of a situation or when you want to be in a higher elevation. It's also good when you want to just make a ditch for something like a pile of resources that you have, so that they don't fly away or so that you just know where they are at all times. So that's what I'm doing at this moment, this scene right here. I'm just making a ditch for all this stuff so that I can keep it in here. Now, of course, I got stuck. It's no big deal. You just destroy the land around it and then you just put it back. It's very easy. You just use the LB and RB buttons, or if you are a PS4 user, you use the R1 and L1 buttons to manipulate the landmass once you are in your suctioning, once you're using your suctioning machine, I should say. So that's what I'm doing here. Just showing you guys how it's pretty easy. You don't have to even hold it, because if you do, you can actually end up wasting a lot more time than helping. Right here is a scene where I was running. You know, I started to actually figure out, okay, there's more than just this canyon. And, you know, I'm running through the whole area. I'm looking at different land. Now, I started to realize at that point that the blue stuff does nothing. But this stuff is good. These are organisms. Organic is good. But you're not going to be able to use it in the very beginning. What you will be able to do is use it later on for generators, and generators create power by burning the organic resources. Stay away from these. These are dangerous. That just killed me. Anything that looks like a mushroom or that looks like a plant that you can't actually suction up because it's too big usually is dangerous. I find that there are plants that have gas that they can spew out at you, and the gas will basically kill you. Those spike things, of course, which just killed me. Very bad. Right now I'm getting rid of my organic, but I'm just playing around with the fact that you can use R2 or, you know, RT to manipulate the resources in your backpack. That was very important when I figured that out, because it's literally the only thing that you can do. When you're picking up resources, you need to put it in your backpack. You need to get things out. It's extremely important. And it took me a very long time to figure out how to do that. So I hope that you guys, you know, with that information, you can actually move a lot further, a lot faster. What I'm standing next to at the moment is a solar panel. Solar panels are created, I should say, when you go in your backpack and you use some compound that you may have collected to create it. It's very simple. You just go into your backpack, you scroll down to where it says solar. If you have compound, you'll be able to make it right then and there. Solar panels are used to create energy. You can put them on any machine that you have or that you'll end up creating in the future, and as long as the sun is out, you're going to be creating some energy, and that's very important. The sun is not out for a very long time, but the solar panels work very well. Now, what you're going to see here is I'm just strolling around. I'm trying to figure out where to go. You know, everybody, you know, I've played in 2 different planets now. Well, 3 actually. And every time I start, my first question to myself is, where do I go? Well, you never really know where to go. Usually. You kind of just have to say, okay, I just want to go in this direction, and just go. And, you know, you're always going to find resources no matter which direction you go, but the resources aren't always the same. Resin is extremely important because you need resin to actually create a lot of the machinery, the bases of the machinery, the parts that come out of the actual ship. And once you do that, then resin's kind of useless. You don't use it for anything else after that. But that is important. So, collect as much resin as you possibly can when you first start. There's usually resin around. Usually. Collect as much of it as you possibly can. It's extremely important to have. Have an abundance of it. Fill up your whole backpack. Go back to your ship. Throw them all next to your ship and go back and get more. Get as much as you possibly can. Maybe I would say 3 backpacks worth. And even then, that's not enough, because you're going to find that you're going to be making more and more things. Having resin is always a good thing. Now, there are more rare materials, such as titanium, the lacetite, the malachite, other things like that. Alright, so now I'm actually taking the power like I mentioned earlier, and when you put the power on machines, it'll actually increase the energy. Now there's no machine right there, but that's where you would end up putting the power cells. Research facility, very important. You see that tree that's right next to me? Trees like that actually have these little pods, or big pods actually. They're the biggest things that I think you can collect in the game. And when you put them on a research facility, you can find out things about the game that you didn't already know. Like maybe be able to create a new mechanism or machine that can do different things, like a smelting machine or a fuel machine, you know. So of course you just saw me put the resin on the, you know, the thing, And I don't have enough resin, but if I had enough resin, I would be able to create a big machine like the pod that you see over to the right. So I'm just walking around. I'm using tethers. Using tethers is actually extremely simple. As long as you have tethers in your bag, which you create from compound, then you can press down, the down button, the down directional button, you know what I'm saying? Press the down directional button on your controller as long as you have tethers in your bag, and tethers will appear, and you could put them a certain distance away. Can't put them too far away, but you could put them a certain distance away and they can all attach to each other. So you could run about a mile with all the tethers that you have, and you'll still have an oxygen source. And then you can run back to a tether instead of having to run straight back to your base if you're starting to run low on oxygen. It's very clever, allows you to travel very far, which you're going to see me do later on. Now, creating tethers is good for the beginning, but your main goal for the beginning, it should be to create a vehicle. Now, creating a vehicle, of course, you have to make the vehicle machine, and that's hard because it's not made with compound. It's made with aluminum. Aluminum is very rare, but when you go around searching, you're eventually going to find all kinds of different rare items. You find enough aluminum, you make that machine, you get a vehicle, you'll be flying around. And the best part is the vehicle actually has its own oxygen source. So as long as you're close to the vehicle or in the vehicle, you have oxygen. You can go anywhere on the map you want to go. The only downside is the vehicle doesn't have much storage, and you only have as much storage as you have in your backpack. So eventually you're going to need to come back. But there is something that I thought of, and I'm going to use it very soon when I get back into the game. What you could do is you could take a storage like little, thing that you can create in one of these machines. I think it's the printer. You use the printer to create a storage like shelf. You put the storage shelf on the back of your vehicle. Ta-da! The storage shelf can hold up to 8 items. Then you have 8 items in your backpack, and you have the vehicle. You could travel around, get 16 items just like that. Easy. So it's very, very, very useful to have a vehicle. Right now you saw that little blue thing that I just sucked up. That's oxygen. Now you're going to find those around. Those are extremely helpful when you're far away and you know that you're running low on oxygen. Run up to that, get that oxygen, and run straight back. Now, I didn't absorb all the oxygen, but I should have. Absorb the whole thing, because what will happen is the residual oxygen will actually just go into your backpack, and then when you're running low, it'll just fill it right back up for you. And it took me so long to realize that. But my mistakes, your success. Next thing that we're going to go over. Running back. I ran back way too late. If you're this far away, you should make it your best effort to run back as soon as you get to the place that you're going. Because there isn't enough oxygen. There really isn't. I'm suffocating, and I'm not going to make it to the base. If I do, I'm going to make it by a very small amount. Jumping does help, but I don't think I'm going to make it. And it's because I waited too long. Don't wait until it says 25% or 50%. Don't do it. Don't do it. Look how close I was to dying. If that tether wasn't there, I'd be dead. That tether saved my life. Tethers are important. So I have resin, which I just collected, and which is very good because now I can put it on this little machine and it's going to extend it, and I can put more resin on it and it'll extend it further until it looks just like the one that's to the left. When it's on the one that's to the left, guess what you can do? You can start making the machines that actually matter. You can make printers, you can make smelters, you can make fuel tanks, you can make vehicle creators. Those are very important. And most of the machines need compound, but like I said, the vehicle bay needs aluminum. Aluminum's rare. So I'm just over here just looking at everything that I can get, trying my best. Ooh, this is a funny scene. Alright, so when storms come around, this is what you need to do. You need to find cover. What I'm doing is a very bad idea. Don't stand out in an open field. Because in 3, 2, 1, die. One rock can literally kill you. Now, I got a little lucky in this scene. I was getting smacked in the back by the rocks, but they didn't hit me directly, so I didn't die, and I was actually able to make it back. You can dodge the rocks if they're coming from behind you. You can sort of see them coming, but I wouldn't recommend it, especially if you have a backpack full of stuff. You're going to lose all your stuff, and you're going to be upset. So just try and get to cover. But that's a perk of having oxygen tanks. I have 2 oxygen tanks, so I actually don't need to go back to cover. I'm on top of a mountain right now, and I did not need to go back to cover right away. I could actually just chill there on that mountain for an extremely long period of time until the storm passed, and then I went back down, and I was good. So basically, all you have to do is remember that as long as you have oxygen tanks that are full, you should be fine. Right now there's a storm coming. When storms come, your best bet is to get shelter, like I said previously. Now, a pretty cool thing that I actually figured out is that you can get shelter by literally just sitting in your spaceship and waiting for it to, pass. Now, you see my friend here, his draw cab, was actually not clever enough to get into the spaceship, and he ended up dying multiple times. Simply because he couldn't get in. Anyways, research facilities. Those pods that I was talking about earlier, that's what they look like close up. Now, they all look a little different. Sometimes they're more colorful, but they're all around that same size and that same shape. They could turn into anything once you put it in the research pod, and sometimes they can even turn into resources, which is very good. So get as many of them as you possibly can once you get a research facility, and use them. Use them while the sun is out. It's infinite power when you have a solar panel. Pretty easy. You just use your cursor to move things around, grab them, and put them in. Remember, you grab everything with RT or with R2 in this game. Everything is grabbed with RT or R2. Now the printer, I just passed by it. It needs 2 copper. Copper is also a pretty rare item to find. Best thing to do to find copper is to actually go in a cave or a mine, but those are dangerous, and if you don't have multiple oxygen tanks and multiple battery packs and tethers right next to the cave to make sure that when you get out of that cave, you're close to your base, or close to an oxygen source, I should say, it's not good. It's not good news. It's very dangerous, and it's very difficult to get out of. You can get lost very easily in a cave. But caves are where you're going to find the best resources. So you have to take the risk. Right now I'm running out into the open. Those trees are where I ended up actually finding a lot of those unknown sources that I'm putting in the scanner to be researched. When they're too high, you can't grab them, but when they're lower to the ground, you'll be fine. Oh, this is the cave that I was talking about. Now that's oxygen. Oxygen is throughout all caves, just stuck on walls. So is power, which is good. You're almost never going to suffocate or lose power when you're in a cave. The problem is when you leave the cave that can happen, because there's no oxygen or barely any outside of the caves. Now, what I did was a huge mistake here. I actually ended up coming in, I slipped down, and I lost track of how I even got into the cave. I was severely lost. Severely. I got this unknown source, and I did not know how to get back out of the cave. I didn't realize that I had fallen down. I guess I wasn't paying enough attention. And, it took me a very long time to get out of the cave. Best bet is to have a vehicle. Having a vehicle changes everything. When I brought a vehicle into the cave, I was able to get in there, get all the resources I want, put this big thing on the back of the vehicle, and drive out before I knew it. So always get a vehicle as soon as possible. Now, there's a very big problem. It's this cave glitch. If you die while you are in a cave, this will normally happen to you, because the game is fairly new and it still has a lot of glitches and things that the game creators need to work out. Now, it took me a while to realize this, The only way to actually get out of the cave alive, or get out of this state alive, is to stay still and let your character float back up to the base. If you do what I just did here, tried to find a way out, oh, I landed and died immediately, and look, I'm glitched again. Don't do it. Took me a very long time to realize that. I think I died about 5 times. I was over here screaming like, how did this happen to me? I'm floating inside of empty space. And in essence, the reason why you die when you hit the ground, even though, I just died, it didn't look like I hit the ground from very high. Think of it as you're falling from this distance at very high speeds. So when you actually hit the ground, you just die. Your best bet is to go back to the base, let your character float up on his own, and you'll be alright. If you don't want to continue to die. Right here, you're going to see I'm floating up, floating, I'm not moving. Oh, almost there, bam. And I got stuck. And I was wondering how I was going to unstick myself. Just press Y and then you'll unstick yourself. It took me a second to realize that. I was kind of confused, but it doesn't take much. So I finally pressed Y, got myself out. That was all good. Then I just wanted to show you guys what a vehicle actually looks like. I have the unknown resource on my book bag, on my vehicle's back, and I'm driving way faster. I have an oxygen source, I have an energy source. I'm good. All I need to do is make it there. And when you have all of these things, you guys are going to understand that this game is going to be extremely fun and extremely easy to play. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I enjoyed making it. Have a great one, guys. Peace out until next time.